Friends, there is this very, very funny conception, though predominance, of politics. This funny conception of politics actually favor the political class. It favors the antics of the political class, though unfortunately marketed by the general masses who should actually know better and push for better governance. This plays out in quite a lot of ways. One, reliance on the political society to bring political change, downplaying of citizens' power, modeling up of the milieu of the measurement of governance, benchmarking of failure as a yardstick for good governance, and misappropriation of the dynamics of federalism in gauging performance. I'm talking about in terms of measuring performance. What do I actually mean by that? What do I mean by the first when we talk about reliance on the political society? In a democratic setting, scholars, expert group, the actors in the democratic setting in four cardinal arenas, which could actually be collapsed into two. We talk about the political society and the civil society. The political society, we are talking about the whole dynamics, the whole gamut of power play, partisan politics, political parties, political elite, and political actors. Every of the actor who is actually interested in seizing power and actively engaged towards this direction falls within the political society. That's where we have the political parties we have and their actors, including those, the ruling party, the opposition party, and the new emergent ones who are engrossed with what they call coalitions and a whole lot of that. That falls within the political society. Their interest is just one and only one: seizing power. Seizing power, they want to seize power for whatever reasons. It's power for governance. That's a discussion for another day. Power for self-perpetuation or self-sustenance, or power to consolidate their personal drive for elitist dominance and all that. But their interest is just simply power. And we should be able to know why is actually democracy favored as the best of the tested systems of governance. Scholars have not argued that democracy is the best system of government to practice, but they claim it is the best of whatever have been in practice. It means there could be something better than democracy, but that have not actually been tested. But among what the kind of governance we've tested so far, democracy is actually the best. Where does this come from? It comes from the derivation that democracy allows for rule of citizenship. The citizens are able to determine who governs them. They are able to make decisions about the quality of governance they will receive. And then you could actually discover, like I said, in the political system, we have the political society and the civil society, which is the second group. The civil society is self-organized, autonomous, the general citizenry, whether falling within organized labor, artisan groups, and the whole general masses and all that, who is actually interested, who actually is at the benefit of good governance. We agree with me that the general citizen is in the higher proportion in the whole democratic equation, and as such, they have this singular assignment of determining who governs them. As such, the ruling elite remains the tenants of the citizens. The citizens on themselves determine the quality of governance they receive, and also who sits at the saddle of power to dispense this governance, not the other way around. So when the citizens misappropriate the dynamics of this and rely so much on the political society and all that, a lot of things actually goes wrong. For instance, what is the trend now? We are talking about coalitions and a whole lot of that. The coalition are being discussed by members of the ruling elite. It is not being discussed by the average citizens who should be talking about good governance and all that. Well, those in power still have 2 years. Most of them who were voted in 2023, they still have 2 years to remain in power. A lot of policies have been dispensed by this government. A lot of revenue have actually been dispensed, allocated to governors, local governments, and all that. The citizens who should be preoccupied by how these monies are spent. who should be tackling the government to make sure that the government actually yields the appropriate result of their stewardship in holding positions, have absolutely no business with these coalitions and all that. Our own business is to make sure that we checkmate. We also assess whether those who are interested in this coalition, who will now come back to the electoral market where the citizens are the major stakeholders, have all it takes to occupy political positions, and we are to award them that privilege through our electoral participation. Dear friends, we cannot downplay citizens' power. The citizens downplay themselves. Regularly, people come up with the idea that, when somebody is voted in 2023, when people critique them, people will ask you to wait till 2027 and all that, to wait till 2027. Yes, to an extent, if the person have a 4 years dispensation, yes, the person might be able to actually stay till 2027. But there are also democratic instruments that once the citizens are fed up with a particular leader, and the citizen stands and remains standing, that will be the end of that leader. While the citizens stand and remain standing, that will be the end of that leader. Some other people go even as far as asking to wait till 2031. They even appropriate dual tenure to somebody who was just elected, who might not actually be performing well. Well, for them, they are actually playing roles that favor leadership excesses, where the two fundamental functions the citizens plays in the democratic system is being eclipsed by their own mental deficits. Those two functions, is what? Rewarding good governance and punishing fundamental transgression. These are the two fundamental assignments that the citizens have, and which they use to gauge leadership and make leadership to be the tenants of the people, where the citizens are actually the landlord who determines who actually govern them. Nobody is actually voted for 8 years. And the more we take note of it and act consciously towards this, leadership will now be able to sit right and act in a way that benefits the citizens, knowing fully well that their reliance is on the citizens to renew their contract. But when the citizens in discourse, in actions, and in affiliations, downplay these dynamics, then they're actually getting it wrong, and they're actually empowering democratic autocratization, where we are having a form of democracy and all that, what we call, what a renowned scholar in democratic studies called democraturas, a pretentious facade of democracy. What you say, the more you look, the less you see. We are in a form of democracy, but in principle and practice, lacks every tenet of democracy. We also model up the milieu of the measurement of governance. What do I mean by modeling up the milieu of the measurement of governance? This will be a discussion for another day. Thank you very much.